Hey guys, welcome back everybody. Today we are talk about something interesting. So we received the one of the interview question. One of my students has asked me. So they face the issue when they are trying to form the EBGP indirect neighborship, right? Let me tell you what was the issue we have. So what I can do that I'll quickly configure the EBGP relationship, also the notepad. So these questions are normally encountered in the interview when you go for the interviews round, and specifically when you are the have some experience like a 3 to 4 years of experience. This kind of questions you may encounter in the interview as well. So I have a router one, right? That's I'm gonna configure the interface it's 0 by 0. IP address will be 10.112.1/24. No shutdown, and then we have our interface loopback as well. This IP address will be 101.1 and /8 as well, right? On R2 as well, I'm going to configure the same thing. Interface E0 by 0. IP address will be 10.112.2/24, right? And I'm going to configure the loopback as well on this guy. So once we have done, right, let me configure the host name for this guy as well. So this is the host name router 1, and this is the host name will be router number 2, right? Now what I can do that I'll go and configure the BGP as well. So on the router number 1, we'll say the router BGP number 1, else the BGP router ID will be 101. So if you see that the router 1 is belong to the AS number 1 and router 2 is belong to the AS number 2, right? And I'm going to form the indirect neighborship. So router 1 is forming the neighborship with the 2.2.2.2, and of course update source will be changed. That's the loopback number 1, and neighbor 2.2.2.2 ebgp multihop, right? This command is mandatory for the ebgp only, not for the ibgp. So I can make the 2 right now. That's all. And on R2 as well, I'm gonna get this command line. I'll better to give this router BGP number 2, router BGP router ID will be 2.2.2.2, and then I have a neighborship will be 101.1. Remote AS will be 1, neighborship will be 101.1, update source loopback number 1, and neighborship 101.1, and then we have a ebgp multi-hop. multi hop. Some delay is there, and that's all. Now, as we know that BGP needs a utility, right? That's we assuming right now. So we have to have a utility, then we can make a ping pong, right? So what we can do that I'll for the utility I can give the IP root 0.0.0.0 and 0.0.0.0.0 as well, right? And then next hop will be 10.1.12.2 on the router number 1, and on the router number 2 I have a default route which is the towards the R1, right? So this was a scenario that one of my student has got in the interview 0.0.0.10.1.12.1, right? Now what we can do that I'll copy and paste this configuration. Let's me go to the router 1, copy, right? All done. On the router number 2 as well, right? And copy and paste this. IP addressing is done. I'll go and configure the BGP as well. So on router number 1 I'm going to define the BGP neighborship and the default router as well. Copy and paste. That's done. Same thing on the router number 2 as well. I'm going to configure the router BGP and the default router as well. Copy and paste it. So by doing this thing, what happened? What do you think? Will they form the neighborship? Of course not. The reason is that first of all, if you see, I do have a utility. I can make a ping from the router number 1 to the this guy. There's no problem, right? But the thing is that the BGP will not form the neighborship. The reason is only that. So BGP is a reliable protocol, works on the TCP, and the default out is never considered as a reliable, right? What BGP wants the first of all reachability. Additionally, he wants the same route should be there in the routing table. Do I have a route for the 2.2.2.2 or 2.0.0.0? Have a look. No. I do have a reachability based on the default route, but I do not have a route for the 2.0.0. So if you don't have a exact match in your routing table, it won't form the neighborship, and that's how your BGP works. So what we can do that instead of the default route, we need to manually define the specific route in the routing table to form the eBGP indirect neighborship. So what we can do that, I'll go to the route number 1 and simply I'm gonna remove this command, Control A, and on the router number 2 as well, Control A, right? Now what we can do that instead of the default route, I'll better to give the specific route, and same thing over here as well, 1 and 255.0.0. All good. Now in that case what happened, it formed the neighborship. Now wait, it will give the magic masses. So now you can see that I have a neighborship right now. So the interesting part, default route, if you're using to form the eBGP indirect neighborship, even the IBGP indirect neighborship, in that case it won't work. BGP needs a reachability. Additionally, it wants the same route, the specific route should be present in your routing table as well. Thank you so much.